It's not killer robots. It's not being turned into batteries. It's shitty AI systems that are given control of little decisions that matter in your life. It's mediocre, half-assed, put together crap AI systems that actually make decisions about like whether or not you're going to get that apartment approved, whether or not you get that loan approved. That's a real underrated risk.
I think the most compelling part
was the stand thing. Right?
Was the stand thing, because typically, even though people feel maybe they are being surveillanced or that their information's being used in all kinds of different ways, just like Stan's or Eminem's Stan, the song, is the furthest on like one of the further severe situations that can occur in fandomship, in the spectrum of fandomship. I think it's a great way to explain AI and how dangerous it can be.
Yeah, that's where we wanted to start. And I agree. I think that is, when I'm explaining AI issues, particularly as they relate to like automotive data to clients, I use the Eminem Stan hypothetical as my like hypo to like explain how, particularly as it relates to like emotion tracking and whether or not the AI should step in and take over control of a vehicle.
So maybe for the listeners, you should explain first Eminem Stan.
In the song Stan by Eminem, you have this crazy fan who at some point gets in his car with his pregnant girlfriend and drives off a bridge while recording a note to Eminem.
Yeah, he's like totally unhinged.
And Eminem, the song is Eminem rapping his response to Stan, basically.
Yeah.
And at the end of the song, he comes to realize, oh shit, this fan I'm writing to is the guy who killed himself. Okay. So the question that raises this is, so like we have cameras and AI and tracking going on in cars. We have for years now. Now it's going to become a legal requirement. The federal government is going to require all new vehicles to have facial monitoring cameras.
Yeah.
Monitor your face while you're driving. So many questions and issues that raises. But in the Eminem Stan situation, what we're dealing with is, what if your car could tell that you were suicidal? What if your car could tell you were in an excited state, if you were in an elevated emotional state, and that you probably shouldn't be driving right now?
Like a domestic dispute.
Let's even put a fact that the car knows that there's a pregnant girlfriend in the back seat. Let's even put that aside for a second. That's a whole separate host of issue. But even if you're alone in the car, if my car can tell that I'm about to drive this thing off a bridge, right? Should my car stop me? Especially if it's one of those self-driving capability. Should my car stop me? Should it step in? And the question I have to ask as a lawyer, or that I have to answer as a lawyer for my clients, is do we want the technology we're developing to be able to do that at all? Is that even something a consumer wants? Is that a safety feature, or is that just too much? Right? Yeah. And so these are kind of like the ethical and technical questions that we begin to deal with when you start realizing that like AI is so much more than a question about how impressive the AI is. AI is actually a question about how we use and deploy AI in our lives, and to what extent do we need to keep ourselves safe, not just from the use of AI, but with the use of AI. Like to what level should we go?
Well, I mean, like that's an extreme example of our free will being infringed on, right? Like even in the sense of, I should be free to make mistakes. I should, like, as much as, it's not the outcome everybody wants from every situation, there is dysfunction, and we need that free will to have dysfunction, right? But we were talking about this before, and if that's the extreme example, let's use like a softer version of this, like how our free will is taken away. Let's say we could use the car still as the vehicle to describe this circumstance that we do.
Yeah. So like, I mean, free will is a question of, to what extent. So like free will goes all the way to like, are the ads you're seeing that are so custom tailored to make you buy things, are they just ads, or are they influencing you?
Right.
Are they making you want things you don't otherwise want?
Right.
Are they making you vote a certain way?
Right.
Are they making you do all sorts of things? With the car examples, it's a particular issue because the human being is inside the vehicle.
Right.
And so like the example, if you want, like for like, a softer example would be like someone's in the car knows that you haven't eaten or that you have 20 minutes to spare and suggests that you stop for food or something.
Yeah.
That's like a soft example, right?
Yeah.
Most people probably wouldn't mind that. Your phone's going to do that anyways, right? Like that's the reality of the situation. But it's a different thing when it comes to, like you said, like infringing on people's rights, and particularly like rights as they relate to like your freedom of movement, your property, and things that you consider like important, like your job, your insurance, your ability to get a home, your ability to get those kinds of things. So like that's kind of like how the use of AI and like the use of like these like really, really powerful surveillance tools, are they really good for us and bad for us? And then the next question is, say we wanted to protect ourselves or put some rules around the use of AI, who's going to do it and how do we do it? Like how do we even approach such a question?
Yeah, I guess like is AI so far ahead for us to be able to fathom how to create regulation and rules and laws? Like, is it kind of like we're not caught up? It's already so far out of control, we're not caught up. And then are there so many players that also are benefiting from like we're not being caught up with it?
Yeah. So like as with any technology generally, because the technology is new, there are no laws to address it.
Right.
AI, we already have laws on the books. Like California has AI laws, and the EU has the EU AI Act. Okay. They're like laws that attempt to regulate AI. And the question that lawmakers have, like a lot of experts I talk to, think the EU AI Act is not good at all. Like it's just terrible approach to the problem, right? That's like the question of like, do we stop speeding by installing speed bumps, or do we install traffic lights? Like, what do we do? So it's like the same thing. Like, how do we regulate AI? Like, how do we actually physically approach the regulation of AI? And so from a legal perspective, the law is behind as it relates to like the most advanced capabilities. Mm-hmm. So these like emotion engine models and like emotion recognition models, and the way that companies are using them, there are really like not a lot of laws addressing these things on the books.
Yeah.
The first question also is like, how do we define AI?
Yeah.
And do we define the product being used in the law, or do we use the conduct? Do we say, whether or not it's AI, you can't do this with machines, period. There's a lot of questions, and I don't have the answers, but lawmakers don't have the answers either. Everybody's kind of just trying to tackle this. And in the meantime, as this debate goes on in the law, as these like laws take years to draft and years to get passed and stuff like that, these models are pushing forward. And they're being used and deployed in all sorts of curious and interesting ways, where if you knew there wasn't a law governing that use, you probably would want a law governing said use, right? Like, that's how crazy it is. And so we are sort of in the Wild West, but it's not like totally unregulated. And there is a need for, obviously, an ethics. And like, even if it's not like, a question like cloning, which can easily become a very like moral and like theological based decision for people, in terms of AI, it's like, look, regardless of whether or not you have a particular, personal belief about this technology, it's going to be used on you.
Yeah.
Right. So like for you, your question is not like, oh, I can dismiss this, or I can say it. Like, it's easy for people to be like, hey, like, we shouldn't clone humans. Okay. Nobody's cloning humans. Right. Like, as far as we know, like, no one's actually trying to do. There's not really a market for that. Right. Like, it's not like you could do something with a cloned human. Now you've just got a new human. Like, that's got rights and everything. And so like, with the AI question, it's like, dude, whether or not engaging in this stuff, you just sitting on your sofa at home passing the time, the AI is coming for you. Like it is and not coming for you in the sense we're not trying to sell fear. It's obviously not like a fear thing. We're not anti-AI. We're also not trying to sell the AI. We're completely, neutral in this perspective, but like you will be subject to something AI based eventually.
Yeah.
And increasingly more so.
Yeah.
Your interactions with your government might become AI based. Your interactions with your favorite vendors, with your favorite restaurants, with the way your healthcare system works, the way your banking system works. All these kinds of things are going to be totally revamped with the use of AI. And so whether or not you like it, this is something you're subject to. Yeah. So you as an individual, as a citizen, as a person, have an interest in saying, hey, like, I actually don't want AI to do this. I don't want AI deciding whether or not I get a job. I don't want AI deciding whether or not I get insurance. I don't want AI calibrating my insurance rate because it thinks I should pay more. I want these decisions to be made by a human. And like, do you have that right? Should you have that right? Right? Like one of the architected solutions to like artificial intelligence is like, oh, you must have a human in the loop. As long as there's a human in the decision-making loop, you should be fine. But then you've just got like Bob accounting, stamping everything that an AI has already decided. And I've got a human in the loop. How do we define what a human in the loop really is? And like, and again, like I don't have the answers to these questions.
Well, that just reminded me about something I saw the other day about like the class divide will be those that can think and those that can't. And so it's like, but it's the same thing where you'll have the AI controllers and ones controlled by it. So it's ones that can still think, ones that can't essentially, and will fall prey. I mean, I know we always talk about it, it's like, the wealthy will not be as much victimized by AI as like middle lower class. But I also wonder if our like malleability to the technology also decides at some point where we sit in society, because like Bob that's just stamping, there's still going to be ranking in where do we embed ourselves in these positions with AI, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I totally understand that like whole perspective, right? Like there is, but the thing is like that's how things kind of are.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, I get the point that we're putting all decision making on a very shitty like vetting system, essentially. A guy checking it to make sure AI is like behaving essentially.
Yeah. Or even like not even checking it, but like what I'm saying is that like if you create a rule that says AI can be used to do anything as long as there's a human in the loop, then like a human in the loop could mean anything. It could be something so insignificant that it's not actually solving the problem that the rule is designed to address from a policy perspective, right? Yeah. So like when like that's like saying like I don't know. That's like saying it's like what tool do we want to use to address that? So it's like I can't even find a good analogy right now. So does the approach of like saying there should be a human involved, does that actually fix the problem? And probably not, right? Like it has to be a deeper approach than there. We need some other approach. There are other approaches, like the EU has approaches of their own. A lot of people are saying like, oh, like when it comes to like these categories of things, when it comes to like your job, like, whether or not you get approved for an apartment, whether or not you get approved for a loan, you shouldn't be allowed to use AI because those are high risk decisions. Yeah. High risk decisions can't have AI. There's people who approach it that way. I don't know if that works.
So you're just saying like, basically there's a gap in supervision because just everybody's policy is different. So it's uneven and different priorities within each, whether it's a country or institution, whatever, their policies are just not matching each other. What's important.
Yeah, they don't match. They definitely don't match. But it's because nobody has figured out like how to sail the sea.
Yeah,
right?
or like, where it should be going.
It's like it's like we're all trying to figure out how to get a boat on the water, but none of us ever built a boat before. Right. And it's our first time seeing water. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, we're all just trying to figure out like, does this float? How do we do this? And so slowly we'll figure it out. But like right now, we're as good as caveman, just trying to figure out, what floats and what doesn't and how to get into the water. And so like, does this approach work over another? We honestly don't know whether the approach works, but what people should be thinking about is what's important to me and what areas of my life would I care where AI, like I wouldn't want AI involved in that. We were talking about this earlier, for example, and this is not like something that should maybe shouldn't be a law, but like now we have cameras that replace your photo of the moon with an AI rendered photo of the moon.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not speaking for anybody, but like if I bought a camera and it was generating photos artificially, I'd want to know that I bought a camera that was going to do that. Right, I want to know before I buy the camera. That's something I need to know, right? So, and then in an approach like that, it's like, okay, maybe we don't make a law that says it's illegal to sell cameras that do that, but maybe we do make a law that says that if your camera is using AI to enhance people's photos, you maybe can't call it a camera anymore. Right? Maybe you have to call it some other word we came up with. Maybe you have to put a warning on the camera that says, maybe you have to create a part
photo.
of it.
It's not a photo anymore. It's
it's
a new word.
Yeah, it's like a whole different
AI
thing.
generated. It's kind of like the milk and almond milk thing. Like you can't call it milk anymore because it's not from a cow or
and if you do, you at least need to tell
verify
us.
It's and it does not.
What's going on.
And you can't assume that it has the same nutrition as regular.
That's,
now they've had to like create this whole thing. Even then, I was like thinking when you were just talking about right now, me and you, we want a camera that is a camera, like still to its nature, what it does, right? And I want to feel some agency over my creation when I take a photo. But it's very much similar to how there are a bunch of people that still love filters, like even the face filters, whether it's just the amusement of making yourself look like an animal or just enhancing stuff. And they'd be totally fine if every time they had a camera that did that and they didn't have to disclose that either. So like there's just so much nuance because there are people that, and I don't know if you call it short-sighted or far-sighted on either side of the spectrum, but it's just like there is something shifting and it's going to change things in the long run. And for some of us, it's that wanting to preserve the human element. And I think for others, they're so ashamed of being human that they want this new step in life to be able to.
People should be allowed to do whatever they want. But, like if you're selling a product on the internet and and the picture of the product doesn't, like you never actually took it, it should maybe come with a disclosure that says this photo is AI generated.
Yeah.
So that the person buying the product isn't misled. Right? It's the same as like, we're talking, it's the same as like catfishing someone on.
No, but that's how it's going to be, or it is already. Is like, even like I read another
But nobody
article,
likes being catfished.
Like now people are, the beauty standards that are being built are based on algorithms online, and people are using those beauty standards to match their plastic surgery and all that stuff. Yeah. And you're meeting someone that genetically is not displaying what their genes are. They're just fully.
But if I met a girl who had plastic surgery, I would expect her to tell me she's had plastic surgery, at least before we.
But we all know that we've all been around and know that they don't disclose. No one discloses.
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
So it's just like it. But I mean, like that's where it permeates. Where the little places, like right, like even with just let's say the internet, like how it changed our like deviant sides of us, because now we could go into access to things that we didn't necessarily have access to, like on foot, before the digital world. And it just makes me laugh because it's always like you're defined by what you do on your own, right? And what if your whole life becomes AI?
That's where it's headed. I mean, that's where it's headed.
And I think that's where it circles back to like when we were talking about the car and stand and everything is you were saying this the other day, like what if we have an automated system that wakes us up in the morning, plans out our day for us, tells us where to be, Well, so that I was speaking specifically about the wake word. Yeah.
So wake word is a term of art in this tech space around AI, where your AI, you don't want a speaker, you don't want Google to have that speaker on 24/7 while you're using the bathroom and making love and all. You don't want it on. So how do we make people feel safe with this device in the house? It only wakes up when you call it.
Yeah.
That in the law in the AI legal world is called a wake word.
So that's like, hey Siri, is that like essentially
Yeah, like when you say, hey, you know, I don't want to say it because we'll activate one of the devices in the room. But yeah, when you say, hey, you know, Alexa, and it turns on, that's a wake word.
Okay.
And so what I was saying is like, what about AI that doesn't have a wake word?
Yeah.
It's not, it's always on.
Yeah.
It's like a person sitting in the room. It is always on. It's designed to be always on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you can start thinking about how like that makes it different. And from a regulatory perspective, when you're thinking about like, how do we write rules about this stuff, how that has to be treated differently than an AI that's dormant and not listening until it's woken versus an AI that's awake all the time and listening, constantly listening.
I mean, we're already arguing if things are listening or not. And I don't think, you know, anybody has a clear answer to that. Are our devices listening or are they not?
They're not. They're not. I mean, I know I've represented enough of these companies to know they're not secretly listening to you. The answer actually might be a little bit more concerning, but they're just that good at predicting you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that you mentioned snowmobiles earlier today when you were talking. It's that the device knew that you broke your snowmobile last season, your snowboard last season.
Yeah.
It put that together and connected that fact with the fact that snowmobile season's coming up. The sales are on now, and you just got paid.
Yeah.
And it was a coincidence that you were thinking about it today because your systems, the profiling has gotten so good that it knows what you were going to be thinking about today.
Yeah.
And hits you with that.
My thought cycles.
Your thought cycles.
I'm not cravings, even kidding. And to the point where biorhythmic activity.
Exactly. And so the concern then is like, are they then influencing those thought cycles? And I'm not naming any particular brand in particular, but like, if you had a nefarious company, a company that didn't want to do like things the right way, like how far can they take that?
Yeah.
Can you sway an election?
Yeah.
How far can you really take these kinds of like, you know, ads? We call them, how, and at what point does an ad become more than an ad? It's like, you know, acting and doing something.
Yeah.
All good questions.
I mean, I'm sure everyone has thought like my phone's thinking about, listening to me, and then an hour later something pops up or something. Or like, you know, even these electric cars now, they're reporting. I remember seeing something of like people in China are like gluing little bobblehead heads in their like top like visor area so that the camera's looking at the bobblehead, so it looks like the head's like there, so they can look down at the phone and do things like that. So there's obviously like different automation. It might not be like maybe it is network connected. It's reporting, you know, like we've talked about, like when you got our Tesla and I drive it, I'm always safer because I don't want them to report data back that I'm driving recklessly.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think it goes back to, and why the Stan example is so great was the way it's being introduced to us, and the incentives feel so big, like they're almost like that dopamine thing where the incentives kind of keep blinding us as we're furthering into it. And so, you know, that's why it's so important are if we're being protected or not, because most of us are not concerned with all that groundwork that's being done. We're just enjoying, like, now I can write papers faster, or an email, or, you know, I can have someone communicate on text message for me more pleasantly than I probably do, you know, or even the simple things of creating agents.
Yeah, which is why we want them.
Now. Yeah.
They make our lives easier.
Yeah.
That's why we want them.
Yeah.
You know, they definitely make our lives easy. They are great. It's a great product.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so I don't think we should be pushing. I mean, me personally, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
I eat it up, dude. I got agents all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, I got agents booking doctor appointments for me. Like, it's on another level. But like, and I obviously, like, I trust the companies that I contract with, that my companies that I use. I trust my brands. I trust them to do what I need to do. But I'm a privacy attorney. Like, I've got that in the back of my head. And the things I present are like worst case scenario ideas. We're not like dealing with worst case scenario ideas yet, at least. And like the other thing is that like the market drives this stuff, you know, The question, all like for me, people gluing the bobblehead in their car, all that tells me is we're ready for cars with no steering wheels.
Yeah.
That's all it tells me, is that the people are ready for cars that don't have steering wheels anymore. We're ready to move to this next generation, this next step.
Yeah.
And 30, 40 years down the line, people are going to look back at today and think we're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That we would let any idiot above the age of 16, without even like a mental check, drive a 4,000 or 5,000 pound behemoth 80 miles an hour down fucking residential streets where people are walking.
Yeah.
We're going to think in 20, 30 years, it's going to be so safe with automation. We're going to look back and be like, dude, it was crazy allowing people to drive.
Right.
Like, well, I can't believe people did that, Just like right now, kids today look at us and say, how did you write a 10-page essay about that book, dude? I used to write 10-page essays about the book without reading the fucking book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now it's just, and then the other question, so there's all these concerns and all these things, but at the same time, like, this is the reason this stuff is so popular and coming is because we are so thirsty for it. Like, we are to blame for this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if there was no market, this stuff wouldn't exist. But all of us are trying to replace ourselves with AI. We're actively doing it every day, and they're like, AI is going to replace your job. Dude, you already replaced your job with AI. All of us did. We're all fucking phantom workers now. And all we do is manage these AI models.
Yeah.
And so, like, realistically, like, is it that bad? Is it that bad? Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that bad. It's just so funny because I think of like all the sci-fi movies like Minority Report or even like Her or what was like that Bruce Willis police movie? I forget what it's called now. Like, there's just like all these like, especially the Minority Report one. It's another extreme example of free will. And if I get caught up in a system, a justice system where I'm actually innocent and, but I'm actually getting targeted as someone that's a criminal, and it rewrites the, needing to have enough proof of evidence, in a court of law and like innocent until you're proven guilty. All of a sudden we're doing preventative judicial system.
I don't know if that'll happen because thank God for us, we have the California bar. Let that happen.
And guys like you passed it.
Judges need jobs. Judges need jobs and stuff like that. I mean, I think there's definitely room for criminal justice reform, but like we're in no place to be predicting crimes and accusing people. That's not how our justice system works in the United States. And it's probably never going to work that way. It depends on what you think improve means, right?
Maybe I'm coming from the activist side for like, let's say,
the activist side,
cleaning up the past criminal decisions, like trial, mistrial.
Well, I mean, from the activist side, I mean, look, our as an attorney, as a member of the bar, like our justice system doesn't search for truth.
Yeah.
Because we know the search for truth is kind of difficult. Yeah. So it's designed to have a most likely truthful out. That's kind of how it's engineered against human idiocy.
Yeah.
I almost prefer an AI. Yeah. And if so the other thing is that like what happens with increased surveillance is increased evidence.
Yeah.
And if we have more evidence, criminals have less wiggle room to get away with things.
Right.
Right now our defense, your typical criminal defense in America is going to be trying to get legitimate evidence thrown out on technicalities. Mm-hmm. So that's the abuse of technicalities to subvert substantive law. I want to get away with this crime, right? If we had a system in which people honorably stood up and said, yes, Your Honor, I shoplifted that thing, we wouldn't have this problem, but we don't, right? We have a system where they'll shoplift and then they'll show up to court and they'll try to get the video of them shoplifting thrown out so that the court can't have an honest review of what actually happened here. And so in a system like that, of course the activists are going to say, well, more videos of me firebombing that Kmart is not good. Yeah. We want less videos of me firebombing the Kmart. Right. But we have a whole cohort of other people who are sitting there and saying, you just firebombed my Kmart. Like, of course I want a video of you firebombing. I'm going to use it in court against you. I mean, it all comes down to like what your policymakers do with it. From an economic perspective, the AI growth the investment in AI growth has to pay off so substantially that everyone basically has to be using AI all the time for us to make money off of it. And we're kind of betting our entire economy on AI right now, which goes to tell you that if in the future we can, and we do end up replacing like a lot of jobs with AI and robotics and stuff, you could eventually see things like universal basic income, not because they want to give you basic income, but because there's no other way for us to feed the businesses we are lynching our entire economy on. If our entire economy depends on you consuming content and clicking and buying stuff, then and you don't have a job anymore, that's going to suck for us. So why don't we give you some pennies on the dollar? You're making us $10,000 a month. We'll give you $2,000 of that, right? Spend it on your food, spend it on your rent, keep consuming.
Yeah.
And so universal basic income might become like an exchange where it's like, hey, the government will just go ahead and pay you like a certain amount of money, or these companies will get together and pay you a certain amount of money to consume X amount of content every day. And you could be one of those consumers who makes a bare minimum. Universal basic income could just mean your bare minimum living for consuming enough content.
It's kind of like the hamster, a new version of the hamster wheel.
But a very comfortable hamster wheel.
Very comfortable.
Nobody likes to. It's like WALL-E. You know, it's like the WALL-E world.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need, really? You know,
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like if we live in these VR worlds, like, do you even need like a good-looking house? Like, I could probably stick you in a prison cell and you wouldn't know the difference, right? Like, and so that goes down a whole other rabbit hole. But
and then we get to the Matrix eventually.
Yeah. How much do people really
You're just
need?
entertaining our brain and feeding us for battery and everything.
Exactly. Well, who knows?
I was going to say, like, what is the one thing you're actually optimistic about when it comes to AI?
I think that AI is going to be a big time equalizer for people. For example, a single mother of 3 in Bakersfield is now potentially going to have at least at a first pass, will have the same level of quality, could have the same level of quality legal representation as a multi-billionaire who's facing a similar legal issue. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I think that AI will kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Will kind of like democratize. So let me start that sentence over. I think that AI will kind of democratize very high skilled services, at least to some basic level, so that like people across all walks of life will at least have access to like minimum level, intelligent, competent services. Yeah. And as a lawyer, I think that that's, a good thing. That'd be a good thing to promote fairness and justice across the board and give people access to the law.
Yeah. I mean, I use it just so simply just to have a contract read.
Yeah.
Just to get, like, if there's something I'm missing or something I might not be aware of, explain it to me. Whenever, like, even in work, like, we are doing deals with companies and we need deliverables or whatever, what would be the consequence if we miss it?
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely, for someone that doesn't deal with legalese too much, it's facilitated a lot of different things. So I think that's pretty cool, especially like example of a single mother of 3, low income, that might not have resources to an attorney or something, that needs some sort of like legal counsel, and at least get broad basis collection of what's occurred in her situation. She can actually look and find out. And I always try to train everybody that it's the beauty of aggregation. Like maybe people like you and me, we've grown up with the forums and we are the internet diggers and stuff like that. And this makes our lives even easier. But I think it does introduce that skill, maybe not as a hard skill, but at least the resource of that skill to people that didn't typically have it. Or actually couldn't physically get to a place, even go to a library or to the, city hall or to somewhere to have to get some sort of information. Yeah. Crazy shit, man.
Crazy shit, bro. Yeah.
Well, I think what was really cool though, when you brought it up to me first, that was like this Stan analogy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like that in an analog world, those type of things could happen. And now we are definitely in a digital world, and more so than we're even familiar with. And it's going to exponentially continue to change. Like, so as we keep going, especially with AI now, we're just making leaps faster and faster. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. All right, brother.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, man. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Hell yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks for having me on.